All right, we are live. It's the Spread Zone. It's Wednesday, April 15th, and we are recording this at 11 a.m. Central Time. And as always, our mission here, it's the same every week. Find edges, make you guys some money. This episode, of course, is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. We're using FanDuel lines only. And if you're listening later, you know that the numbers sometimes move. My name is Riz. That there's Tim McKernan, Anthony Stalter. So before we get started with anything, I was glued to the Masters. This is the most golf I think I've ever watched.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You and I were full on nerding out on a weekend.
I was nerding out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and of course Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my bets paid off.
I've got them right here. You hit.
I hit on my one main one. There was a couple that we didn't discuss on the Spread Zone last week that I did put money down on no holes in one. And that was looking pretty good until Saturday.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Shane Lowry got him, Anthony.
I mean, what were the odds on that, though? That'd be pretty
I know.
big.
I think it was
about a 50-50 play, but by the time Saturday rolled around, it would have changed. At the start of the tournament, it was about 50-50. If you would have said on the particular hole that Lowry actually aced, that would have been paying something absurd. They never ace number 6.
I didn't see it when it happened. I'd stepped away, and I checked my bet slip on, of course, FanDuel.com, and it was moved from the in-play bets to the settled bets. And I went, oh, man.
Yeah, because you knew at that point.
You're dead. And it was Saturday. I went, I'm dead.
Yep,
You're dead in the water.
That hurts. I went into the final round. I was in an auction with like 7 different groups of syndicates, and we bid on players going in. And in our roster of players that we had acquired, we had Cam Young tied for the lead going into the final round. We had Sam Burns shockingly in the position he was in. I mean, he was inexpensive. We had Patrick Cantlay. We had Chris Goddard. We had Tommy Fleetwood. We had Matt Fitzpatrick. We had everybody minus the Scheffler Rory, and we were positioned quite well. And then both Burns and Young were 2 of the only players on the leaderboard in the top 12 to fire over par on Sunday. Cantlay flopped around at the end.
We had
and got
Tommy Fleetwood.
And then Fleetwood, I thought if you would have asked me who was going to win the thing outside of Rory, because he had that huge lead after Friday, I would have said Fleetwood is live. And he folded up on both Saturday and Sunday.
I felt great.
As you should.
About Fleetwood on Thursday and Friday, because I was recommending him.
You had him at plus 2,200.
Yeah, I'm like, here we go. This is looking good. And then you're right. Then the weekend hit, and I'm like, where the hell is Tommy Fleetwood back?
Him and Scheffler switched.
Jeez.
Yeah, Scheffler struggled the first 2 rounds.
Struggled Thursday and Friday.
Crazy with bogey-free rounds on both Saturday and Sunday. The first time that has ever happened in the Masters, at least going back to the records, going back to 1942. Anthony, you had Scheffler with a bogey-free first round, which was playing plus 850. Unfortunately, that didn't hit. I would imagine you probably could have gotten plus 3,000, maybe even more, for bogey-free weekend.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And that didn't hit. You were on fading Rory on the record.
How'd I do?
All right.
Results. You liked Fleetwood at plus 2,200. As far as 2 Hail Mary plays, Zach Johnson, first round leader, that was paying 100-1. That did not wind up happening. And then Fleetwood to beat Xander. And when it was all said and done, you looked golden.
Yeah. But Xander top 10 finish.
Xander got in there, and that was Riz's.
That was
Riz's play.
That was my lock on the Masters. Xander top 10.
Since the
he finished T9.
Elite 8 of the tournament, I couldn't hit water if I were in a boat right now. Since the Elite 8. First round, okay. Second round, okay. Sweet 16, okay. Pretty good. Since the Elite 8, I have been garbage.
Oh, no.
It's like, hey, I like Tommy Fleetwood, and Rory ain't doing it again.
Yeah, I'm fading him.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, over here, Riz, you had the Schauffele play that we made reference to. That hit. That was plus 145. You had Scheffler as first round leader as a, kind of a dart play.
Yeah.
So that's a big play. And that was only playing plus 1,300. That did not hit. But we have not mentioned that you were on Rory for the top European.
Yeah.
Plus 475. Boom. And not only did he do that, of course, he won the tournament. But see, here's the thing. You guys aren't the golf guys. I'm the golf guy. I gave you Min Woolley last year. Terrible. 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 Jacob Bridgman, top 20. He did look good. Kind of a random name that was paying more than 2-1 on your money. He wound up finishing outside the top 20. He was in the mix to do it, but he had a bad Sunday, and then he wound up finishing outside the top 20, albeit he had a fine tournament, just not in the top 20. He shot a 76 on Sunday, even though he was in position to finish in the top 15 for that matter, so he wound up finishing T41. My long shot Hail Mary value play was Justin Thomas at plus 7,000. He was around, but he wasn't around the top ever. Chris Goddard looked great. That was paying 2-1 on money, plus 190, but he had a bad Sunday, and then he finished just outside of the top 20. He finished T24 by shooting 73. Another guy that shot over par on Sunday when a number of players went low on Sunday. And the one play that I did like that hit Adam Scott to beat Gary Woodland. Honestly, I didn't think Gary Woodland would be around for the weekend. To his credit, considering what he's battling, he was. But Adam Scott beat him out. Adam Scott over Gary Woodland. Adam Scott finished at 2 under. Gary Woodland finished at even. So that one came in.
Did you enjoy Saturday's golf better or Sunday's golf?
I enjoyed Saturday's.
Saturday was excellent.
So you agree with me on that? Yeah. See, I'm a golf nerd, and so my issue with it when I'm looking at it through that lens is I don't feel like Rory necessarily won it over the weekend. He won it on Friday by going off on Friday. He won the tournament because nobody came and got him on Sunday. And at one point in the broadcast, Jim Nantz said, it's a little quiet out here, meaning nobody's really doing anything. Justin Rose was the leader. He fell apart. Cam Young was the leader. He started missing short putts. Scotty Scheffler charged but wasn't able to make enough putts, including one on 17 that looked like it was going in that would have changed the whole dynamic. That would have
changed the whole thing, especially since Rory bogeyed that final hole.
And Rory missed with his shots on 12. He wasn't going at the pin there. That's not the play. On 15, he nearly went in the water. He was lucky it didn't spin back. On 16, he blew it over the green. On 17, he missed a wedge to the right. And then on 18, his drive that went way right. So he was there to be taken, but nobody took it. And I'm sure a guy like Justin Rose going to the back nine with a 2-stroke lead and 45 years old is kicking himself perhaps more than anybody. Scotty Scheffler to shoot bogey-free and 12 under on the weekend and not win the tournament. I'm sure that one tortures him as well. So it was there for the taking, and nobody took it, and I agree with the Saturday.
On to the next tournament. It's the RBC Heritage, a signature event at Harbortown Golf Links in Hilton Head, South Carolina, running tomorrow through Sunday. So, Tim, as the golf guy, let's talk about the Masters hangover narrative. Is there? Is that such a thing?
Oftentimes can be. In addition to that, whereas the Masters rewards distance, and those dry conditions can certainly amplify that, hence Rory McIlroy. I mean, once he had that 350-yard tee shot on 13, I said, that's the end of the tournament, never thinking that he would kind of falter a little bit on his way in. Harbortown does not reward distance, and so you can find some shorter players in the mix in this tournament.
Well, top of the board via FanDuel as published this morning, Scheffler at plus 440, Schauffele at plus 1,500, Matt Fitzpatrick at plus 1,600, Cameron Young at plus 1,800, Henley at plus 1,800, Tommy Fleetwood plus 2,000, with a bunch of depth behind it, Auberg, Morikawa, Cantlay, and so on. So, Tim, you're up here. What's the best bet here?
Well, if you want to go from the logic of, okay, where could I fire a bullet that could come in and shock the world? So, for example, last year Justin Thomas won, but it was in a playoff against a guy who I would imagine many people aren't familiar with by the name of Andrew Novak, in finishing tied for third, and two guys who don't necessarily hit it particularly far in Brian Harman and Mackenzie Hughes, speaking to 3 of the top 5 names being a little obscure relative to Justin Thomas winning and Scotty Scheffler being the favorite. So you sit there and go, okay, well, where can I find a Hail Mary to throw a bullet at this weekend? And I would point out a couple of names that I think would be of value. This is a name people would recognize. He hasn't won in a while. Ricky Fowler. He's been playing well. Wow. Didn't get to play the Masters. He's plus 10,000. That's a name that I would take a look at, again, because he's plus 10,000. I'm not saying
And would you look at not to win, but to a position finish?
Yeah, I got a couple of those as well. Brian Harmon's plus 6,000. He actually played well at Augusta, and he's had some issues there. That's another one I would take a look at. And then finally, I think the guy who won last year at plus 5,000, Justin Thomas. He played pretty well at Augusta. He obviously has success on this golf course, plus 5,000 there. And then Siwoo Kim, plus 3,000. He's been playing really good golf, and he wound up finishing a very quiet T11 last year, and he was around for the weekend at Augusta. If you're asking me, you got to bet on somebody, you got to pick somebody, my guy would be Matt Fitzpatrick. Matt Fitzpatrick won there in 2023. He actually grew up going to that golf course. He's from the UK, but his family traveled to Hilton Head, and he played it. He's won there. He's been playing really good golf this year. He played well at Augusta, and that's plus 1,600. I do think there is something to the mental anguish that comes with never having a shot off for 4 straight days at Augusta. I would be surprised if Scheffler is there, not because of lack of talent, but I just think you go, oh my God, you're going 100 miles an hour, and then you get to Hilton Head, and it's just like, okay, this is a relaxing family atmosphere and a different style of golf course. So my play would be Matt Fitzpatrick. Another play that's in the top of the odds, Russell Henley, who did have a good Masters and was in the mix at one point. He's plus 1,800.
Any top 10s, top 5s?
Absolutely. That's where I think you can really make a play and feel good about it.
This is what makes me comfortable. This is why I was comfortable with my top 10 shot.
Yeah, and that wound up being wonderful.
My only big win.
I got 2 top 10s for you that I really enjoy. A couple of names that I have not mentioned. I keep telling you this, Jacob Bridgman is playing better golf than anybody as far as a name people haven't heard of, and he's paying 3.5 to 1. It's all about his ball striking, and I think that'll be accentuated at this particular golf course. And then another one where I think you could have a lot of success on a top 10 and also get some pretty nice odds on it is Corey Connors at plus 500. He's had success at Hilton Head. Getting 5 to 1 on your money for Corey Connors in Hilton Head, I like that quite a bit. So those would be my 2 top 10 plays for you.
All right, so let's leave that there. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We have the NBA play-in tournament going on right now, and Anthony, you got some picks for that?
Got some picks for that. You know what? Let's turn this thing around. Maybe Tony Stalter will come.
Oh, Tony Stalter.
Maybe Tony Stalter will come in.
My money follows Tony.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right, this episode is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook, and we're using FanDuel lines on today's show. Odds can move quickly with news, so always double check before you bet. And, of course, gamble responsibly. We are the Spread Zone. All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone, sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. All right, Tony Stalter's with us.
Yes.
NBA play-in tournament. So we've got a couple games tonight. What are you looking at?
So there's an interesting dynamic going on right now with the Orlando Magic because Banchero, their fantastic young star, apparently there's some internal grief going on between him and the coaching staff, and there's a lot of like, hey, everybody's loading up on the Sixers for tonight. Now the Sixers, as of right now, FanDuel -1.5. I think that's a overreaction by not only the public bettors but obviously the sports books as well because of all these rumors with Banchero not getting along with the coach.
So -1.5 now. That's a moving line. It was -2.5.
Yes.
Yesterday.
So that maybe we're starting to see some sharp money start to come back in Orlando. I like Orlando outright. If you want to put the 1.5 or if you get a 2, depending on where it goes off at the tip off tonight, it's 6:30 local time, so 7:30 Eastern. I like Orlando a lot in this one. I like to follow teams that play well defensively. Last night, I would have recommended Portland at 2.5. Now, it's easy to say because they covered, but Portland, they've got a strong defensive identity. Or there might not be, as far as the play-in teams, any team that's better defensively than Orlando. So I think we've got a course correction going on in tonight's game. And given the injuries for the Sixers, including Joel Embiid, I like Orlando. Either take them on the money line at FanDuel or, again, put the 1.5 in your back pocket.
What do you think the over-under? So I had it at 222.5.
I would go under.
I would go under too.
Yeah.
Playing games could get tight.
Yep.
It's possession by possession.
And Philadelphia missing some of their key offensive players. Again, Orlando matching up defensively. The one big thing is if there's so much internal drama that Orlando just, rolls the ball out there and goes through the motions. I don't think we're going to see that happen, though. So I do like the under in that one. The other matchup, the later matchup, you've got the Clippers versus whatever's left of the Warriors. And I say that with all due respect, but this Clippers team offensively is loaded for bear. The Warriors, you got Steph Curry, who apparently is going to be limited. And then who else? They don't have any secondary scoring options. Kristaps Porzingis comes in, and I don't think he's good for 19 or 20. I think he's fine. I think he's a fine rim protector. But if we're talking about offensive scoring here, you got a limited Steph Curry, and then the drop-off is so steep that I think the Clippers eventually open things up in the second half, and they cover the 5.5. I don't love the total, because, again, I think the offensive issues from Golden State could be an issue. But I saw at FanDuel, the Warriors, their team total is 108.5. I would take the under on that based on, again, my theme is, can you play well defensively? Do you have secondary scoring? And the Warriors have neither. So I'll take the Clippers minus 5.5, and I'll go with the Warriors under 108.5 on the team total.
All right, so that's your bet slip for tonight's playing matchups for the NBA side of things. All right, let's take another break. We'll come back and we'll talk MLB. We'll talk MLB so far, overreactions, and maybe, I know, Tim, you got something.
There's a play that I love.
There's a play that you love.
MLB.
We'll talk about the MLB after the break. Spread Zone. All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone, of course, sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. All right, MLB is where the public is most emotional right now because April baseball creates the strongest, and I'll say fake certainty. Mm-hmm. We were just talking during the break.
Small sample size theater, Riz.
It's tough betting baseball in April.
Oh, man. I mean, I said this in a break, so I'll just take this live. If you're just playing the money lines and the totals or the run lines in April, I don't know how you're making money. Because the action is all over the place. Like you said, you got small sample size. Yeah. Baseball's 162 games. It's a marathon. So trying to bet this window in April is extremely difficult.
Yeah, hot starts don't always mean good teams.
No.
So if a team's winning because they ran hot in one game, one-run games, and their bullpen hasn't been stress tested yet, don't crown them a champion yet. Slow starts can be buy low spots too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to look at who teams have played. There are a number of teams in Major League Baseball this year who are going to be shocked if they wind up with 70 wins. And if a team's schedule has been feasting on those teams, that is a great buy low spot.
You're not buying the record. You're buying the roster, the rotation, the run differential indicators that stabilize faster than, April vibes. No 14-game parlays in April. So if you're betting the MLB today, you're betting, futures, you're betting small edges. So what do you see so far, Tim?
If there is a play that you would want to capitalize on, the small sample size theater. Now, when we were discussing the show yesterday for our podcast today, the number was at plus 6,500. It has moved to plus 4,500. But the leader in Major League Baseball in home runs is Jordan Walker. He has 8, and he is plus 4,500 to finish the year with the most home runs in baseball. And
you like this play?
And I bring it up just through the reasoning of he has made a substantial change to his swing. The data points on him before he got to the major leagues was he replicated Aaron Judge's makeup. This was in 2017. And then he got to the major leagues, and it was a disaster. He had 6 home runs all of last year. He's already at 8. I want to make this clear. I'm not saying he will be leading, but he is the leader. There is a material change to his swing, and therefore, if you are getting plus 4,500 on that, that strikes me as a play that will be worth a flyer for a guy who is already doing it and has the makeup of Aaron Judge with the swing type. Not necessarily the exact size of Aaron Judge, who is super huge, but Walker's a big guy himself. Again, making it clear, I'm not saying he will do it, but he is the leader, and that would pay $4,500 on a $100 bet.
Is there anything you're seeing so far this year that's surprising to you, Anthony, or
you
want to throw something down on?
I think, Riz, if you kind of just look at what's going on in some of the divisions where the teams are in last place. For example, the Mets 7-11 on the year, the Cubs 8-9, even the Giants at 6-11. I think the Giants are a better team than what they've shown thus far. Offensively, they've been terrible.
Even with the Mets 7-11, they're still on FanDuel fourth highest odds to win the World Series.
Sure. Houston 7. I don't know what Houston is over there, but they're 7-11. They're in last place right now. Seattle at 8-10. Some of these good teams have gotten off to a slow start.
Right.
Kansas City at 7-10. I'm not suggesting that you just run up the flagpole and see what happens, but I would start looking to see if odds makers start to overcorrect on some of these teams and the buyback starts to become strong. Maybe you look at some of the individual games, if you're getting some plus odds or getting anything minus 130 on some of these teams, at some point they're going to turn it on. I mean, Francisco Lindor has been a disaster defensively, base pass, all of that. We're talking about one of the better players in the game. So this is going to start to course correct at some point.
Is there any team, like a buy low team for you right now, that you think could rip off a 10-3 stretch and make everybody feel stupid?
The Cubs, given their pitching staff, could do that. I could see Toronto, who's 7-9 right now, and they offensively they've been up and down. But we're recording this on Wednesday. They got their offense rolling last night in Milwaukee, so I could see Toronto. I could see the Cubs. I could also see Seattle. I would strongly play Seattle at home. Don't do like a minus 250 or something like that. But their pitching staff historically has been much better at home than on the road. So if you start to look at splits and say, hey, Mariners are at home right now, maybe they're even playing a decent team. They just had Houston in town, and I think they swept them. Start to play Seattle at home, maybe start fading them on the road. I would strongly look at the home road splits to start.
Seattle sitting at plus 1,200 to win the World Series.
That's pretty good odds. I mean, I don't know what they were when we recorded. Maybe half of that. I think you're getting 6-1 on Seattle to win it all at the start of the season, Tim. Would that be fair?
I would think so. They were certainly a favorite.
So
Dodgers at plus 210, Yankees at plus 1,000, Mariners plus 1,200, Mets at plus 1,300, Phillies plus 1,500, Red Sox plus 1,500, and the Blue Jays plus 1,700.
I'm not buying Minnesota. I don't understand. I mean, if you look at their pitching staff, Joe Ryan's the guy, but he's just been merely okay. They got a guy in Bailey Ober who typically is throwing batting practice, but he's gotten away with. He was in that. He started the game that Garrett Crochet gave up the 11.
Oh, is that right? He was the beneficiary.
So I think you start looking right now that we're midway April, you start to look at fading some of these teams that have gotten off to a hot start and start to back the teams that have not.
All right, things will start evening out. Soon. All right, gentlemen, anything else on the MLB side of things?
No, sir.
All right, so let's leave it here. Next week we'll talk NFL draft.
Yeah.
And
it's gonna be fun.
We'll see if Tim's bets paid off.
Well, they will.
In golf, and Anthony's picks paid off in the NBA, and
knock on wood here.
The NHL will have all their playoff stuff set. So big next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we got some stuff. We got the Kentucky Derby in a couple of weeks too. We got the Derby. We got some exciting stuff. We got NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, NFL draft Derby. This is a sweet spot.
All right. Well, everybody, good luck. We are the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. See you next week.
We provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm gambling regulations in your state of residence. To participate in sports gaming, you must be 21 years of age or older and be physically present in a state where sports betting is legal. If you or someone you know has a sports betting or gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org for more information and further assistance.